Hello friends, my name is Monique Trinity Rose, creatrix of Ritual Embodiment, and I am here to talk to you today about something I call Ritual Adornment. So this will serve as a little bit of a Ritual Adornment 101 tutorial on how to integrate ritual into how we explore and express our self-care. So, the dictionary definition of ritual is a religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. And the dictionary definition of adornment is a thing which adorns or decorates, an ornament. So, for our purposes, then, ritual adornment is the art and practice of beautifying, decorating, or modifying one's physical body temple with sacred intent and ceremonial process. So what this means is that instead of going about these activities from a standard viewpoint of vanity and or insecurity or trying to prove ourselves or trying to make ourselves feel better about ourselves, it can actually be done in a way that is a joyful celebration of ourselves in our bodies, that is a celebration of feminine radiance in general and can uplift all of femininity, all feminine energy, and all of the expression of womanhood on our earth. So essentially how this can happen is we basically implement the standard practices of ritual into how we do these things. So instead of doing them with without a lot of mindfulness and just having it be a routine that, you know, we hope kind of makes us feel more presentable or what have you, it can be a ritual, it can be a ceremony, it can be an actual yogic process that brings ourselves into our bodies, that celebrates our bodies just as they are, and allows ourselves to beautify it with, you know, with joy and with intention and with play. So you can do this in the most simple of ways, or you can do it with a lot of woo, we like to say. So if you're going to go about it with a lot of woo, you can implement an actual altar into the practice. Here I have a really basic elemental altar that incorporates water, some fire, some air, and through that we are able to purify and consecrate the field of what we're doing. So, and of course, I also have earth represented by the crystals. So basically, we can start the process by first getting clear on what it is that we're doing, whether we're doing our makeup in the morning or we're doing a more intentional art project, creating jewelry for ourselves or for someone else. Whatever it may be, today I'm going to use the example of creating an intentional crystal charm talisman bracelet that I will be giving to my daughter. So we're actually making mother-daughter bracelets that have a lot of intention and prayer into them. But before I go into that, I'm just going to talk about the basic procedure that you could go about in a process like that. So I would first get clear on what it is that I'm doing and what the intention is. And from that place, I would then collect whatever materials I want to use that are most supportive of the energy and the prayer that I am evoking. So that can be crystals, different types of crystals. That can be animal relics like feathers or bones, things like that. That can be you know, different fabrics or materials, whatever it is, we can go about collecting those with intention, ideally from sustainable sources and conscious sources. and bring those together by researching the different pieces and bringing them together with a lot of presence. So then once I have everything all set with what I'm doing, including the different elements that I'm going to use, as well as any symbolism that's going to be woven in. So for this example, I have different crystals that I've chosen for this bracelet. I have rose quartz, I have labradorite, I have moonstone, and I have amazonite. And in order to get clarity around all of these different pieces that we're utilizing, you can do some research. These days you can just go online and research anything, but back in the olden days we would look in books. So I have a collection of different books that help me research the energies of different things. This is a nice crystal book that some of you may be familiar with. We have a magical herbs book. I have a flower and gemstone essence book. We have amulets and talismans that talks about ancient talismans and symbolism, and so on and so forth. So you can do it as an actual little research project to learn new things about energy. Because of course, magic is just science that is not fully understood. But essentially, magic is real. Magic is the way that energy moves and creates. And so we have realized and determined that prayer and intention, thought processes, are a vibration that then create the manifest world, which is why magic is actually real. It's just not some far off, necessarily fully mystical process. Now we're starting to learn scientifically what's actually happening and how it's happening. And it makes a lot of logical sense once we learn that. So, of course, if we do anything with intentionality, with prayer, with presence, with articulate curation of the different elements that we're using, then we can be that much more intentional in what we're doing in our life. Once you have visioned what it is that you're doing, and perhaps done some research and then collected all the pieces, then you will go about doing the actual creative process. So today, that is our bracelet making. So within that, I can again use my altar to purify and consecrate the field. You can purify and cleanse any old stuck energy so that you can be really clear and present for the process. And then once you have cleared the field, then you can set your intention in your prayer. And you can do that however you want. You can just think it, you can sit and breathe, you can sing it, you can speak it out loud, you can write it down, whatever feels the most powerful inside of you to help anchor that prayer into the process. And then once that's been done, then you can start the actual process of the crafting. And ideally, while you're doing this, there's a lot of presence and intention as well. And while you are doing the crafting, you can be implementing those prayers even deeper into what you're doing by, like I said, singing, by speaking the prayers, by doing mantra, by just visualizing what it is that you are evoking. You can do movement in your body to help the energy flow through, whatever feels good. So now in practical terms, I'm going to show you the linear details of making a really simple crystal charm bracelet. So basically I'm choosing to use, you can use lots of different strings, you can make clasps. I am choosing to do one that has stretchy, kind of rubbery material, so that I don't have to have a clasp and I can just close it off at the end, and then it's stretchy enough to get on and off my wrist. So I have laid out the beads in the design that I want, again with intention and prayer and also just obvious aesthetics. And I have utilized some little charms of a star and a little bird, because this particular bracelet that I am giving to my daughter is representing our new name that our family is taking on, which means starbird. So I am now going to just string the beads once they're all laid out. So I'm going to keep it attached to the spool so that I don't have an issue of all the beads falling off the other end, which, believe you me, I have done several times, and it is not enjoyable when that happens. But, of course, part of the process. So as I'm stringing these beads on, again, I can be sounding, I can be singing, I can be visualizing the magic and beauty and empowerment that I am giving to my daughter, the bond that I am reinforcing between her and I as I bring these beads on. And of course, each one of these crystals has particular meaning. Moonstone is about connection to the lunar, more feminine energies, to our intuition, to the celestial realms. Rose quartz is about connecting us to our heart center primarily. It's a nice, soft and nurturing energy. And then labradorite is also a very celestial stone, but it helps connect the astral realms to the physical 3D realms. It helps us connect in with those higher planes, with seeing larger patterns. Very mystical stone, both moonstone and labradorite. And then amazonite is a beautiful, oftentimes blue stone, which is what it is in this case. And that stone can also help, it's a purification stone. It's really powerful for health of the physical body. It can help bring about also a soothing to our neurology, it can help soothe any tension within us. It can help soothe and even out our emotional body and our emotional field. And all in all, beyond all of the woo, which I actually do believe in crystal magic and there is science behind it, but beyond all of that, I also just intuitively was drawn towards the crystals that I love, that I think are beautiful, that make me feel good, and that I thought my daughter would also enjoy. So that's what all of this is. This can be really practical magic where we can just do things that we would normally do, but just bring a little bit more intention into it. Bring in some prayer, bring in a little bit of ritual into our lives so that we can create more beauty in our experience, more intentionality in what we do, and also just a procedure of which we can do things with greater coherency. So that being said, I have strung the bracelet, and of course I measured out how long it needs to be from her wrist, and it's a little bit larger than mine for obvious reasons. And now I am going to go ahead and make sure I have both sides nice and firm in my fingers, and I'm going to cut it. And again, even the cutting can be done with intention. Everything is a symbol, right? Everything we do can have greater meaning and symbolism if we just keep our eyes open. That's how the divine speaks to us, is through symbolism. And we can speak back to the ethereal realms through symbolism, like doing something like this. So I am now going to basically, there's a lot of ways that you can close it, but I'm just going to keep it really simple for today. I am going to do this by literally just double knotting it. Going to double knot it so that it is just right at the end without stretching it, and just make sure it's where it wants to be. And then I'm going to pull it really nice and tight. Pull it really nice and tight. See, I basically just did a normal double knot. And there are other types of knots you can do, some with actual symbolism in them, such as Celtic knots and things like that. So you can get as intentional with it as you want, or just do a normal knot. So I'm going to go ahead and I went ahead and triple knotted it just to make sure it's nice and tight. And then I'm gonna make sure that both of the strings are going in opposite directions so that they're not all gonna plop over to one side. So I'm going to use one of these little crimp beads that basically, I don't know if you can even see that, but it is, oh, I know. I'll use one of my trusty tools to show you. So there we go. It's a little crimp bead that you can close over the knot to just make it look beautiful and make it look like a bead instead of just leaving the knot alone. But before I do that, this particular string is really slippery and it can easily come unknotted. So I will say this is not the most intentional non-toxic thing that I use in my life. I generally try to keep things pretty non-toxic, but when it comes to using just like a little dab of something that I know will work and do the trick, occasionally I will go and use some things that are kind of chemi. So if you're super against ever using anything chemical, then I highly suggest not using E6000 or using a gas mask while you're using it and using some type of other glue that probably won't work as well, but will not be toxic. And ultimately going to use a toothpick, or I have a little chopstick right here. I'm going to put some glue on the end. And then I am going to dab some, just a little bit on the knot to prevent it from slipping. So you'll see I'm just gonna kind of dab it on, probably some underneath as well, so that it kind of wraps around the knot a little bit. You want to make sure you don't have too much so that it doesn't get too bulky and then just juice out all the sides. So I just did a little bit of glue. I don't know if you can even see that, maybe not. A little bit of glue around the knot. And then I'm just going to pop this little crimp bead over it. Really simple jewelry making process, but can be a very beautiful, intentional thing that anyone can do. I'm popping this thing over it, and then I'm just going to use my crimp tool and close it off around the knot that I have glued to just close it and complete the process. All right, and that final crimping is honestly the hardest part of it, because you want to make sure it goes all the way around, that nothing is sticking out, that it's nice and clean. I have the ends coming out both sides so that it's nice and balanced. And now this is closed, it looks beautiful and clean, and the glue will ultimately set on the inside and prevent it from breaking. So then that's basically it. I'm just going to take the scissors, cut the ends as close to the bead as possible. And before I am going to use it or wear it too much, I'm going to let the glue dry so that it sets nice and clear. And we're done. And we have this beautiful little crystal talisman charm bracelet. It looks nice and clean and professional, but is ultimately really easy to make. So then when I'm done, energetically, I can maybe hold it. I can breathe deep and infuse prayers into it. Do any type of other ritual magic that you would like to do. And of course, that could be a multi-hour long conversation, but we're going to keep this brief. And for now, I am going to put my bracelet, my matching bracelet, and my daughter's bracelet, I'm going to put them together on the altar, and I'm going to let them just kind of bathe together, gestate together, let it sit and gel so that the prayers can be infused on the altar even further. And then the final part of the process of this little ritual embodiment, ritual adornment tutorial is then the implementation. So then whenever you then put this new item on your own body, or if you're going to give it to someone else, that you even further anchor in those prayers. And of course, before I do that, when I've just completed the process, I will do a little closing of the ritual. So I will, like I said, put them on the altar, infuse some more prayer into it, and then maybe intentionally snuff out the candle and complete that ritual. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that shone some light. In the future, perhaps I'll talk about ritual adornment in regards to costuming, in regards to dress, in regards to makeup, in regards to other jewelry options, and whatever else comes to mind. But we can do this with anything, any way that we interact with and adorn our bodies. We can do it with intention, with celebration, and with prayer. So I hope that was fun for you. Go ahead and like and subscribe, leave a comment, share this video if you would like, and I look forward to sharing with you in the future. If you would like even more information on ritual embodiment, ritual adornment, temple fusion belly dance, and beyond, I have a Patreon page that you can subscribe to and receive all sorts of monthly goodies. So check in the information below, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Lots of love, you guys. Blessings.